Do not scratch your eyes.
Hello and welcome to the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast. Joining us once again, probably our most quested guest, or our most revered guest.
Revered.
It's only Barry from Wigan. How are you, Barry?
Very well, thank you.
Go on, Basler.
Delighted to be back amongst like-minded people.
There you go.
Wonderful. Well, it's wonderful to have you back, and it's good to be able to see you in all the fullness. So we're going to go and cover off all of the good stuff because the response to you last time was pretty overwhelming. As you have already suggested, that may have been a response to the whole concept of Wigan kebabs and what was the other one? Bells Hill Crack or something? Was that the one?
Beach Hill Crack.
Beach Hill
Crack. The area of Wigan that I live in.
Oh,
The
look
other
at
one
that.
I've been to the doctors with before, I think.
That's fair enough. But it's the opposition view, so we're going to be doing the normal kind of things. We're going to be doing the completely rubbish DNSYE prediction league that will not die, despite smelling like it might have done. Please be on the lookout for Where's Kev. At any point, our friendly West Brom fan may appear, and, you know, if you spot him, absolutely nothing happens. So there you go. But most importantly, though, we're here to talk about the game coming on at the weekend. Wigan Athletic coming down to Watford, and you know, we've got Barry here. We have got absolute podcasting royalty, sir. There has been so much going on with Wigan in the press. Let's deal with the first thing, if we can. What is your understanding at the moment? Because we've spoken to so many championship clubs, and finances are, you know, of a deep concern. But obviously, over the last few days, there's been a whole host of pieces being put out in terms of, you know, kind of payments not being made, in terms of reactions from various people, and concern. A lot of the concern on our boards, for knowing that you were going to be coming here, that this could be extremely bad for Wigan. What's the current state of play, do you know, at the moment?
Well, there was a fans forum last Wednesday, which I attended. But prior to that, we'd released our accounts, which showed a loss for last season. You just flashed it over 7.7 million. But that was taken care of by our owner, who converted all the debt into equity. Now, I ain't a financial man. I get lost in all this. It's gobbledygook to myself. But how it's been explained to me is that we don't have any debt. The debt's been wiped off and made into shares, which is equity. So the club has no debt. We've had late payments to staff and players on 3 occasions last season. Last year, from June onwards. The first one occurred around I think it was the Queen's birthday. You know, we had a big, or was it whatever it was, something in June to do with the Queen. There was a big bank holiday which stretched over 2 days. And that was the first one. And they said they got caught out because our money comes in from Bahrain, and there was no bank holiday in Bahrain, believe it or not, because the Queen, they didn't celebrate whatever it was we were celebrating at that time. They didn't celebrate. So they got caught out, and the money bounced back, and it ended up being paid in late. So that was number one. Then it's happened again in August, and then it's happened again in December. By this stage, the excuses were sort of wearing a little bit thin. So there was something going on behind the scenes that we wasn't too affair with. So the EFL stepped in and said, listen, lads, you can't do this. You've got to pay your staff on time. You're in breach of regulations. If it happens again, we're going to dock your points. So you've got a suspended 3-point penalty. Do you agree to this? And our CEO said, yes, we hold our hands up. It's totally our fault. We understand that staff should be paid on time. Yeah. We accept the decision to suspend the 3-point penalty if it happens again. Lo and behold, like I said, I went to the fans forum on Wednesday. The wages were due on a Friday. There was an emergency meeting at the club on the Thursday. All staff who were informed that there was no money had come through to pay the wages. So they didn't get paid. Now, this over the weekend, there was quite a lot of rumours going around saying it was going into administration, all the rest of it. I actually contacted directly one of our directors, who very kindly responded to me and said, we're not going into an administration. It is disgraceful, the fact that the staff haven't been paid. We hold our hands up about that. He didn't say what the issue was. I have sort of been, I'm not saying I've been told, but I'm understanding more what it's around, and it's not. They say it's about liquidity of again to the common man on the street. I mean, I started my apprenticeship as a firefighter, and then became a college lecturer in firefighting. You know, so liquidity to me is what's coming at the end of your rose. So I'm not really affair with what they're talking about, but somebody explained it's turning assets into cash so they can pay the bills. So it's something to do with that. But we have a problem because, like I say, it's the fourth time it's happened. So I believe we're getting docked 3 points by the EFL. I think we're relegated anyway, but that will definitely relegate us if it comes in this season. There's been a bit of chatter on Twitter that it might come in next season, but I can't say how it can because we've got the suspended sentence this season. So surely it has to come in this season because you never know. Football's a strange old game. We could go out and win 5 or 6 games and end up stopping up. And if they bring the 3-point penalty in next season, there'll be 1 or 2 clubs in the Championship who will be quite disappointed with that, you know, and rightly so, because we've broken the rules. We've got to accept what's coming our way. My fear is that next season it happens again and we get even more points. So it's something that needs sorting out.
Well, you say about going on a run and winning 5 games. Nobody knows how to start a season off for a team more than Watford. Ask QPR for details. Let's turn to the football, but first of all, let's just say very, very glad that there sounds like stability, even if there is still an underlying problem, because that's obviously of great concern to people. Because you know it's a great name, it's a great pass, and we only wish best for you and all of those other people eating pies in the middle of Baps. Your season since we came and played you guys, it looked like a 0-0 all day, and then we actually had probably about the only piece of in-game management where a double substitution paid off. We got a last-minute winner. And looking at the stats for home and away, as we do, as we look at this, then talk us through kind of what the season's been like since then. We've been looking at everybody's stats, how they've been getting on at home and how they've been getting on away. And you were, until the last couple of times, you were doing a lot. You were kind of mid-table, if you like, for an away league, if you will. You were doing okay, but it was the home team, the home side, kind of appearances that were absolutely crippling you. Obviously a dearth of goals, and it translates obviously to the points per game that you know very well. What's been the narrative behind all of that?
Well, first of all, they sacked Liam Richardson got the boot, which was 2/3 of the supporters in 2 polls. We run one on our podcast, and the local press won one. Exactly the same results on both. 2/3 thought it was a daft decision, shouldn't have happened. We was in favour of keeping Liam. I think if you're sacking somebody like Liam Richardson, you've got to bring in somebody with experience, somebody who knows what they're doing. And we brought in Colo Toure.
Absolutely. I mean,
your guy was interviewed, Chris Wilder. To be honest with you, I don't know if it was Gene Wilder or Chris Wilder, but apparently it was Chris Wilder. So he was interviewed. Neil Critchley, which I didn't want Neil Critchley anyway, but Neil Critchley was interviewed. I believe Rob Edwards, Mick McCarthy, a few others, but basically people with championship experience. And then we appointed Colo Toure. Never managed a club. He's been I didn't even know where he was, if I'm being honest. I didn't know he was at Leicester. And he brought in 2 coaches with him, Kevin Betsy, who had worked with England under 14s, worked at Arsenal with their under 23s, and also managed Crawley for 4 weeks before he got sacked. Oh. And they brought in a guy called Ash J. Hall, I think his name is, 27-year-old. He became a coach through a community programme, and he coached in schools for Leicester City. So no experience, and it was disaster written all over it, and that's how it turned out. So we turned it up for games, and we're just wide open in every game. I think he got 2 points. Did he get 2 or 1? He might have only got 1 point. First game was a draw at Millwall. I think we drew away at Luton in the Cup, and then they beat us twice in a week, once in the Cup replay and then at the weekend in the league. It was just awful. It was absolutely awful. But we brought in Sean Maloney. Now, again, a few people's heads were turned with Sean Maloney. I mean, he's an hero with us. He played in the cup final. He took the goal the corner that we scored the winning goal off. It was a great play for us, fantastic player. He's also worked with Roberto Martinez at Belgium, which and you can tell he has. because we play like Martinez sets his teams up. We do exactly the same thing, and it's changed it. He's changed it around. Under Toure, we were wide open. We made it tighter, so we're not conceding as many goals. The only problem is, we don't look like we can score either, which is something we need to do. We need wins in our situation.
Yeah, of course.
But to be honest with you, I've sort of accepted relegation in my heart, and I'm pleased that Sean Maloney. I don't think they'll sack him in the summer. I hope they don't, but I'll be very pleased if Sean Maloney is our manager as we enter a League One campaign. Because he's so positive. Everything he's saying he's saying all the right stuff. He's saying he wants the players to play on the front foot. You can see straight away the players started to play for him rather than what they were doing under Toure. Totally different. The fans have engaged with him. He had his song when he was here. He'd do the Sean Maloney to the Okie Kokie sort of thing, and that's been sang at every game. Even when we've lost, we've been singing that. So there's more of a bounce about the team. Sean Maloney was at this fans forum as well on Wednesday last week. If I was you, I'd have a little look at his interview after the Burnley game, because at the fans forum, him and our CEO were talking about transparency and how the financial footing of the club is sound. And then obviously all the news broke about what was going on. If you look at his... I don't think Maloney knew about this. And if you look at his facial expressions during his post-match interview at the weekend against Burnley, he looks like a man who's been tortured. Honestly, I think he's very angry with what's happened. So, but really pleased to have him. So what's happened since we last played you? We've ended up at the bottom of the league. That's what's happened.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And Maloney was a wonderful player to watch. He was one of those kind of jinking kind of wingers / play in the hole / kind of just a creative dynamo. So you would hope that kind of recreating him, across the team would be fantastic. And of course, Roberto Martinez for you just really says one thing, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later, because of course we're coming up to an anniversary of a certain game that you've already mentioned. I appreciate it's been a dirge of a game. One of the things we've started doing is I've started to try to select who I think other teams kind of star player is, bearing in mind everybody always talks to us and goes, oh well, it's Ismail Assar, and then we all kind of bury our heads in our hands and go, no. So here's my effort to try to guess it correctly, and you can tell me if I'm completely wrong. I appreciate it's been a nightmare of a season both on and off the pitch in terms of that. Now, before I reveal who it is, I came perilously close to calling James McLean, who's got 7 assists and got a couple of goals and seems to be having a fine season for a player of his age. But I have gone basically for the top scorer, Will Keane, who's played 35 games. He's got 10 goals. He's got 3 assists. We were also linked with him at the start of the season, but again, we were linked with everybody. But he seems to have kept his goal ratio to games sort of pretty reasonable in a struggling team, having done well last year. He came into you from kind of Ipswich, I think it was, for about 600k. He seems like really good business. Am I right, or are there people that I'm omitting by error?
He came on a free transfer, actually, because Ipswich didn't renew his contract, and we was in administration, and he trained with us during the summer. During summer, it was about 3 weeks, wasn't it, that close season during COVID. He trained with us. He didn't sign with us because I think he was looking for a better offer somewhere rather than playing for a club he was in administration. Didn't get an offer. He was obviously injured or carrying a knock, and it took him about 3 or 4 months before he got up and running. So it was by probably mid to late January before we saw anything like Will Keane that first season. And then he was on fire till the end of the season. We stayed up when we should have got relegated from League One. The following season, he was the first player to sign a contract with us of the players we had previously. Yeah. So he renewed his contract, 25 goals in League One, Golden Boot. So this season, he started off in exactly the same form. Brilliant. He was fantastic. But to be honest with you, he's not scored under Maloney. So I think Maloney's done 8 games now. So he's not scored for 8 games. And he's been in and out of the team. He's had a little bit of dip of form. But I think it's the way we're playing at the moment. It doesn't quite suit his game. He's more of a number 10 than an out-and-out striker. If you'd have asked me around probably mid-January, I'd have said absolutely, Will Keane, yes, 100%. No, not so much so, because like I say, he's been in and out of the team. Believe it or not, Ashley Fletcher started all but one game.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, don't say
Yeah,
that.
and he scored 2 goals. He scored 2 goals. He's only 2 goals of the season, but he scored 2. He missed one on Saturday, which would have drew his level at Burnley. It was a great opportunity. It was a good save. It weren't. I don't blame him at all. But he's been playing all right. I'm not saying he's playing good. He's just playing all right. He's put a lot of work in, shifting about the pitch, leading the line. But I wouldn't go for a striker if I was picking.
Cool.
I'd go for a defender. We've got a young lad who's busting onto the scene. A guy called Charlie Hughes. His dad was A.D. Hughes, centre half for Preston in the late 80s, early 90s. Donkey of a centre half.
Yeah.
Big donkey.
Yeah.
Charlie's totally different. He's a big lad. He's a friend of the family as well. So yeah, I'm really.
Oh, right. So his dad thanks you very much for your description of him.
Absolutely. Every time I see him, he says, "Thank you very much, Barry, for that one." But he's just signed a 4.5-year deal with us. And he only turned 19. I think it was October when his birthday. So he's only just turned 19. He was playing youth team football at the start of the season. He's played the last 10 games for us, centre half, and he's outstanding. He's absolutely fantastic. He tires in games, which is, I think if we had strength in depth, he'd have probably been left out of a couple, young lad, put him in and out. But he's not. He's in there. He'll definitely be playing on Saturday because we've no centre backs. But he's just awesome. He marked Ashley Fletcher out the game. Not Ashley Fletcher, sorry, go back on that one. He marked Ashley Barnes out the game on Saturday at Burnley. We know how physical he is. So he's 6'2". He's probably about 12 or 13 stone. He's a big lad. He can use both feet. He's excellent with the ball. He can cross it. He was at City for a while in their academy. We've had him since he was 13. With us, but he's also had a knee injury that kept him out of the game for a year. So if you're thinking about his age now, he's only 19 now. He only just turned 19. He's already had a year out, so he's missed a year's development, and he's got he's probably the first name on the team sheet every week at the moment.
Wow.
So he's the guy.
What Barry's alluding to there, Pete, is that you got another one wrong.
No.
Saying that.
What Barry is alluding to is that I'm a little bit late. He said a few.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think he's also alluding to the fact that Keenan Davies is going to be pretty much marked out the game as well on Saturday. I think that's what he's saying. Really.
To be fair, Keenan Davies will mark himself out of the game.
This is true. This is very true. Yes.
Yes. I like the fact that you got no centre backs, and all three of us went, well, that's us not scoring then.
That's not. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, sir. In that case, we are going to have a little wander down before we go into thinking about predictions in the future. We're going to have a little wander down memory lane, and we're going to play what we'll call here today Wigan 1, 2, 3. Here are 3 players who have played for Watford and have played for Wigan Athletic. Now we will start as always. We go in reverse order here for the kind of thing. We'll start with these guys to see which ones they can name. Justin, can you name one of these 3 players who have represented both Watford and indeed the Latics?
I can name 2, but you only want me to name one.
I only want the one.
That's fine. I'm going to name the guy in the middle, Peter Kennedy.
Peter Kennedy, excellent. Let's go across to our guest then, Barry. Barry, any idea who you might like to call out as a player of fine repute for Wigan Athletic there?
Well, I didn't realise one of them had actually played for you, so I'm not going to mention him, but I'll obviously Ben Watson, because it's that time of year coming up.
We may be going in that direction. So we come to Carlos. Carlos, who's the 3rd player there?
Good luck.
Well, I think it's Nathan Ellington. I think.
Well done. You saw my little wheeze because I used the word player to confuse you there.
Yeah.
That's good. So what we like to now do is put these 3 players in order of their legacy to Watford and their legacy for the Latics.
This should be easy.
This should also be known as the Andre Gray / Nathan Ellington section, because let's be honest, we kind of play this about. But we're going to start with our guest here, Barry. Barry, you've got to put this into bronze, silver and gold in terms of their legacy for you guys at the DW.
This is very, very difficult. Bronze, quite easy, Peter Kennedy. I actually recall Kennedy scored a great goal for us away at Bristol City when we got promoted out of what is now League One. But I remember him scoring against us for you in the League Cup down at our place in about 2000, something
Probably would
around
be
that
about
time.
then,
About then.
So Nathan Ellington, an absolute legend, goal scorer extraordinaire.
Wow.
Fired us to 2 promotions. Ben Watson scored the
painful,
FA Cup goal. Oh my God, how difficult is this?
You've got to choose one at the top, and I'm not saying Nathan needs it more, but Nathan probably needs it more in these postcodes. But let me not influence you, sir. Who's going silver? Who's getting gold?
Well, I'm to be honest with you, I'm going to actually be out with Ben Watson in 2.5 weeks. So I'm going to put Nathan Ellington silver, Ben Watson gold, because I'll never live it down.
Well done, guys. We will get your Watford 1, 2, 3 in just a moment. I think I know who might just sneak the bronze there. But you mentioned, and when we were on with you last time, we talked about the incredible day, which is now nearly 10 years ago. So I'm presuming it's going to be part of the celebrations for the 2013 FA Cup winners. Now, we had an FA Cup final with Manchester City as well, but we're not going to talk about that, back where we were, because, of course, there was Mr. Ben Watson popping up at the far post. That's Joe Hart craning around. Basically, what he is doing at that particular point is, preparing for a shampoo advert, clearly, Joe Hart, as it goes into the back of the net.
I love the fact that Aguero was on the line for that. That's even better.
There he is going off. And we mentioned earlier on Roberto Martinez there with, I believe he's called Sir Ben Watson. Now, we've spoken about, obviously, the stuff that you've been going through over the last few days and the difficulty of the season and but you've got your kind of centenary, I suppose, or decade, rather, kind of celebrations for it. It's not a centenary. That'd be 100 years ago. What the hell am I talking about?
A decade.
Yeah, that'll do. You're going to be out with Ben. What are the things planned for the good burgers of Wigan to celebrate that?
On the 11th, which is the actual anniversary, there's something happening in the supporters club that evening. I think. I've got to stop there. I've got to stop myself because it's top secrets at the moment.
Is it 150 Wigan kebabs again? I think it probably is.
Yeah, I've got to rewind on that one, right? So,
okay.
But there is something happening on the 11th, and then on the 13th, which is the Saturday. Do you know the rugby team are playing at the state? I'm not mentioning who the rugby team is. There's some guys run around chasing an egg, but they're playing there on the Friday. On the Saturday evening, there's a reunion dinner, and the full squad are going to be there. So that's where I'm going to be with Ben.
Awesome.
Got a table up right at the front where the players are, and that's going to be a magic night. Roberto's there, Graham Jones, all the players, everybody who played, substitutes as well. So some guys who we've not seen for, they were bit players, shall we say, for the Latics, but big characters. So, it's going to be a great evening, that. I think on the 11th, I can say what we're doing. We're having a rerun of the cup final. It's being shown on a big screen. So with Roberto Martinez and Sean Maloney and Ben Watson and Emerson Boyce. So that'll be a great evening as well.
Fantastic.
Can't wait.
Well, give Ben our love, because he's very much respected and loved at Watford as well.
His first game was remarkable because we were playing Blackpool and we were 2-0 down and we just signed Ben. And Jokanovic, who was a great tactician, in fact, came in and brought him on in the second half. And he just kind of, defensive midfield, who knew that was a concept? And we won the second half 7-0 to win it 7-2. So he is very well considered. But I'm going to go to Justin and Carl here. Who, guys, are you going to place in the bronze medal, no close but no cigar position, do I wonder, for Watford?
There's no real argument with this one. It has to be Mr. Nathan Ellington for me.
Yeah, I'll go with Nathan as well, actually. Yeah.
Nathan Ellington, who, I mean, here is a rare picture of Nathan basically in action
He doesn't even look arsed kicking that ball. Look, that's
His leg's at a very strange angle there.
Strange angle.
His kicking leg. What's going on with his kicking leg? He's at a weird angle, that.
Well, what can you say?
Strange.
More familiar territory here, of course. He was very well known for his partnership with Jason Roberts as well. And here is another picture reminding us of some other. And sorry, I don't mean to make you cry here, Barry, but that's Leighton Baines and also Jimmy Bullard there at the back. I mean, you did have some players as well as obviously Nathan Ellington, but I appreciate it was good for you.
And another Watford player in Matt Jackson as well.
Yes, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, and Damien Francis played for both clubs.
Damien Francis,
he did.
I'm picking up your accent here, Barry. What is going on?
He nearly made the round of 3, but Nathan Ellington is far more funny. So, Carl, Justin, who are we going to put in second place? Peter Kennedy.
For me, it's Ben Watson in second place. I mean,
I agree.
He was great, and he's one of those players that you forget. I forget played for Watford until I watch sort of old videos. I go, bloody hell, Ben Watson. He was kind of, I don't know, he was like an anonymous but good player for me. But yeah, I mean, Kennedy was part of the 98-99 promotion team. Scored our very first ever Premier League goal. Was that the hat trick at Southend that you're showing us there? Oh, there's Robbo in there as well. So yeah, for me, Peter Kennedy, gold. I think that
and what he did at Luton as well will always go down.
Oh, of course, yes, yes. What he did there as well with he got 2, didn't he, that day, Kennedy? I think.
But certainly donning that fine kit at a certain place that we will, we simply won't mention. We won't mention where he scored, 2 goals in one of the 4-0 wins. Now, viewers may get confused because there have been many 4-0 wins. It was the one back in '97. There we go. Carl, any agreement with that? Disagreement?
Complete agreement with that. Yeah, Ben was a steady Eddie for us. Brilliant player, actually, to be fair to him. But yeah, Peter Kennedy, just what he did at that time under GT, and then yeah. And we've spoken to Peter on the podcast, so that's always nice as well.
Yeah, and he was amongst the birthday messages that you got as well as one.
Yes, he was.
He was, and of course he's from Northern Ireland, so you didn't understand a word.
Not a clue what he said. Not a clue.
Never mind. Always nice. So after this prediction league,
do not scratch your eyes.
As you all know, and as you've all feared, it's time for the completely rubbish DNS.
Is this still going on? Is it?
Yeah, we're going to finish this season if it kills me. Carlos, you're still down the bottom.
Thank you for that.
Nobody scored any points against QPR. Not just the Watford team, but everybody thought
everyone
were going to go and get a win. So there we go. Barry, we have to turn to you, sir, as our guest. At the moment, playing for the EFL, you're in second place. So, there's... Oh, who am I kidding? There's no jeopardy in this nonsense. What do you think the score is going to be? 3:00 Saturday, Vicarage Road.
Barry, just to help you, anybody that actually goes that Watford are going to win on the, as our guest, generally it pans out okay for their team. I'm just saying. Right.
Well, following that advice and the fact that you've taken Chris Wilder as your manager, I'm going to go for a sneaky 1-0 win to Wigan Athletic with a Will Keane goal after you've picked him out. So that's very good of you. That, thank you. Penalty as well. We'll go for a penalty.
Oh, I look forward to that. When these things get specific, they're very, very good. I like those a lot. Okay, Carlos, any idea? Who do you think?
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm really falling out of love with the football at the moment.
It's not real.
I never have believed that. Bearing in mind, you came on the Twitter Spaces and you went, "Yes, but I'm in West London and it's wet, and I spent £4.50 getting here, and you and Justin are in warm living rooms on comfy sofas." Me and Justin were both going.
Yeah. So it's been a tough couple of days, and we've got as we record this, we've got Birmingham tomorrow, so it could get worse. I will go based on absolutely fuck all. I will go. Let's just stick with it. I'll go with Watford 1, Wigan 0.
You can't, can you? Oh no, sorry. Yeah, Watford 1, Wigan 0. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I can do that. Justin.
Sorry, I thought that's what Barry did. Sorry, you're right. Sorry. Yes.
Sorry, Justin, by hook or by crook, you are leading this absolutely abysmal effort.
Very well.
At something approaching entertainment, and it's not at all. What are you going to go for? We've got 1-0 to Wigan. We've got 1-0 to Watford. Are you going to complete the set? Are we going to see some points allocated because you go for your nice, comfy, warm living room and sofa result, which is, of course, 1-1? Are you going to do that?
Well,
you aren't.
Go on, treat yourself.
Well, listen, we've only seen one game under Wilder as we record, and it was pretty pathetic. The players are crap at the moment. I mean, they really are.
I love the big build-up to this. Carry on.
It's going to be 1-1, Peter. There you go.
Oh, somebody's going to score some points somewhere, because we've got a 1-0 Wigan, we've got a 1-0 Watford, and we've got a 1-1 from comfy sofa that is Justin. Well done.
Only I'll be in the cold and wet. Oh, well, it might not be on Saturday, but I'm not going to, I'll be there Saturday. So none of this sitting on your sofa stuff Saturday, mate. I will be there.
Do not scratch your eyes.
Barry, thank you very much for coming on. Do not scratch your eyes once again. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Apart from Saturday, of course, hope you stay up. Really do, because it would be a shame not to speak to you again next season. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I've loved it. Loved every second of being on with you. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Barry. Cheers, mate.
Thank
Love it.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers, fella.
Do not scratch your eyes.